Welcome to Inexplicable, where we talk about filmmaking techniques, writing screenplays, analyze movies, and much more. So many options with this thing about the storage locations in Final Cut. But how to achieve best performance? Stay with me, we'll try to find out today. If you are planning to use your computer for video editing, it's actually not such a good idea to store everything into your internal SSD drive. The short explanation for this is that continuously writing data on the SSD drive will decrease its performance. It's a complex thing to explain, but if you want to read more about it, I will leave some articles down in the description. So having this in mind, how should you modify the different storage locations of a library for best performance, and how do they work? First of all, the Final Cut Pro app itself should be in your internal SSD drive. Final Cut organizes files in what is called a library. You could think of it as some kind of container. It's a folder, really. The library really is what's going to occupy a lot of space. So that's why it's really recommended that you store it in an external SSD. A library has different subfolders, which are called events. Events are used to organize the different files. When you create a new library and import files into it by literally copying them into the library, those media files are called managed media. As they are, you guessed it, managed by the library. So let's see how that works. We're going to create a test library, and in the storage locations we can see that by default media files are stored in library. So we're going to import some files, and when you click import you can see the files are set to copy to library. So let's import. And now if we go to the library and right click into it, show package contents, this is like opening the folder, and you can see there's a folder for the event we had in the library. And here we click original media, and there it is, the file we imported. You can see it's 20 megabytes, so it's the full file here. Another way you could do this is just directly in Final Cut, you right click the file and you can see reveal in Finder. So you go there and there it is again. So what this means is that you could move the single file of the library around between different folders or even different SSD drives, and you would still have everything you imported into the library. But media files could also be outside the library. However, in this case, it's also recommended that you store those files into an external SSD. Let's see how it works. This time we are going to select Leave Files in Place. So now if we go into the library, like we did before, this time we're going to find that inside the folder is only an alias. And now if you move the library file around to a different folder, for example, the video file you imported into the library will stay wherever it was. The other thing you could do if you want Final Cut to automatically copy files into a certain folder that you want is to go to the storage locations options. Now we are going to create a new storage folder, for example, and we choose this folder as the default media folder. Now everything you import will be automatically copied here. Now imagine that you are not sure where your files are exactly and you want to make everything a bit tidy. Well, you could choose to consolidate the library. For this you just need to click consolidate and just choose what you want to include. When you consolidate the files out of a library to an external folder, the files are moved. But when you do it into the library from an external folders, the files are actually copied into the folder. Render files. These files are made in the background after you import any media. Imagine, for example, we add this colorized effect to the clip. Now the render files will be made in the background. If you go into the library contents, into the event folder, you will see this other folder, render files. So look that just with this simple effect from a 78 megabytes video, more or less, we have almost 90 megabytes generated. And this is just from a single file, so if you're working with a big project. But there's a simple solution for this. Just folder and put it into the trash. That's it. And yet there's another faster way of doing this. Just click on File, delete generated library files, and just choose whatever you want to delete. And okay. Now, if you ever open this project again, the render files will be generated automatically, so there's no problem. So if you ever find yourself in the very undesired situation that you don't find your files anymore, you can just click File and Relink Files and for them, if you are lucky enough to find them. Last thing to mention, and an important detail, is that when you select where you want to make your backup in Final Cut, you have to keep in mind that these backups include the database portion only, but not the media files. So a good idea would be to make a backup of everything in an external hard drive. The reason for this is that you don't need the speed of an SSD, so a hard drive is okay, and they are much cheaper. You could do the backup with Time Machine or Carbon Copy Cloner. Remember, it's always about enjoying video editing. Or maybe you could try to use a real editing program. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.